Well, a very good morning to you. My name is Denisia Pomaeje, and as always, I serve you AM News. Now, the Military High Command has confirmed that the third accused in the ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa, was dismissed from the military service based on his persistent offences and acts of misconduct. Richard Jakpa had earlier denied ever seeing the letter confirming his dismissal from the military since he left the service 17 years ago. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Tuayeboa on Thursday tendered into evidence Richard Jakpa's supposed dismissal letter from the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, Mr. Jakpa's lawyers argue these claims aim to discredit his testimony in the trial involving Minority Leader Dr. Kesel Atoforsen. Now, in court on Thursday, Secretary to the Military High Command and Custodian of Documents at the Ghana Armed Forces, Nana Edu Jemfi, discounted Richard Jakpa's allegations that he was never given a letter relating to his dismissal. Head of our legal desk, Richard Kojonyakon, was in court and has more on what happened.
The Minority Leader Kesel Atoforsen, Richard Jakpa was in court. The Attorney General Godfrey Abuadami was also in court. In fact, Secretary to the Armed Forces was the one that mounted the witness box. He's been subpoenaed by lawyers for Richard Jakpa to come and answer some questions related to the dismissal of Mr. Jakpa from the military in 2007. In fact, Mr. Jakpa, in series of interviews, had contended that he was not served with any dismissal letter, and so it comes to him as a surprise and as a shock. The Deputy Attorney General tendering a document that purport to be his dismissal letter in court, and so on that basis he subpoenaed the Military High Command. But the CDS himself was not in court, but the Secretary to the Military High Command was in court. Contrary to what Mr. Jakpa has been saying, that he had no knowledge of his dismissal letter and all of that, during the cross-examination, the Secretary indicated that, in fact, Mr. Jakpa committed series of offences, a lot of misconduct. Two of them that stood out. One was in 2004 when he was in financial straits. He went to his unit and applied for a loan of $300. That loan, they pulled him, but he never paid. Up to 2007, when the Military High Command decided that they were going to convert the dollars into cedis and actually deduct it from his salary, something that they did. One pertinent one also related to a Lebanese businessman who Mr. Jakpa is alleged to have taken $400 from him. Up to date, Mr. Jakpa was said not to have been able to pay that money. Upon persistent demands, he was unable to give the money back to the businessman. And so they proved in court that in the military, when you commit some offenses and you also have some misconduct on your head, you go through series of interviews, you attend meetings, disciplinary committee meetings, and then all these offenses are spelled out to you. So what Mr. Jakpa indicates is that he, in that letter, it was not stated, no kind of misconduct was stated that he defrauded people and committed something. It was a report, and they tendered that report that they indicate that Mr. Jakpa indeed has a copy of. And so that is what the proceedings have been. Usually after the court sitting, you would have seen the lawyers, counsel for the accused person, the Attorney General, and all the interested parties, rushing out and then conducting interviews. But because of the warning by Justice Ifiasewa Sariboche, not for any of the parties to grant any interviews today, it's been unusually quiet. And so they all walked from the precinct of the court, from the court complex, descended, and then went into their vehicles, and then they sped off. From the court complex, my name is Richard Kojonyakon for Joy News.
And former Auditor General Daniel Yao Domelevo has called out government and government officials over what he describes as continuous persecution of the Special Prosecutor Kisie Jebin. According to Daniel Yao Domelevo, not only does the office of the Special Prosecutor need some level of protection from the appointing authority, But the president must also be seen to call its officials who are deliberately frustrating the work of the OSP to order. He made the call during his 2024 accountability lecture.
Corruption has become one of the leading conversations in Ghana's public discourse over the period, with many raising questions about what the best approach will be to tackle it. Speaking at the 2024 edition of the Domelevo Accountability Lecture in Accra, former General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, CPP, Nanaya Jantua first chastised the institutionalization of corruption in the public services and Ghana's body politics.
These days, a person's wealth is not questioned, or nobody finds out where does this one come from, where did this one get their money from to afford such opulence. There are no questions. Bribery is openly expressed where officers of service providers ask for kickbacks. After providing a service, they actually ask you to pay a bribe.
Picking on the challenges faced by anti-corruption agencies in their fight against corruption, former Auditor General Daniel Yao Domelevo said the president must shield the OSP from attacks from his appointees.
And the young man is facing troubles and challenges like nobody's business. So I said, the one who put him there, don't you know that you have to protect this guy? You should be calling people and say, shut up, back off, let him do his work. So please, government officials and people in government, leave the special prosecutor alone.
Daniel Domelevo also waded into the conversation about government overtaxation of citizens. He said the government's poor performance despite the high taxation can only be described as blatant stealing from the people.
Ghana is a country which, in my considered opinion, has moved beyond taxation to robbery of the people. Instead of taxing people, we are now robbing people. Whatever money Ghana government can squeeze out of you, they will squeeze it out of you and see the use to which they put these monies. And I ask, why are my people not angry enough when you see this type of things happening?
According to him, the recent Kenyan civil action must serve as a lesson to President Akufo-Addo and his counterparts across the African continent.
The question we want to ask is, the other African leaders, including our own president, has he taken any cue out of it? Or we've forgotten the account proverb that says when your colleague's beard, that's why I don't have beard, so when your colleague's beard is burning, you fetch water and put by yours. Is that not it? But today I don't think that is going down. It will have been so heartwarming for us to wake up and hear from the president that given the heat in the country and what I've heard from somewhere else, I've reduced my cabinet or my ministers to 40. The rest are going home.
But what are the solutions to the challenges?
We need to commercialize the fight against corruption. I don't think the fight against corruption is good enough in the hands of only government, because government may even be complicit in the corruption.
This year's Domelevo Accountability Lecture, which was organized in partnership with the Center for Social Democracy in collaboration with Frederick Herbert Stiftung, was on the theme, Is Ghana Winning the Fight Against Corruption? James Savage's report for Joy News.
Well, later on the show, we'll be joined by Mr. Daniel Domelevo to speak on corruption and corruption-related issues later on the show, so stay tuned. Now let's go to Parliament. Up to 6 ministers of state have incurred the wrath of the minority after they failed to appear before Parliament to answer questions. Now, the ministers for Interior, Local Government and Lands were programmed to answer questions on alleged illegal recruitment into the security agencies and private takeovers of state lands, but were absent, with the majority leadership explaining they were at a cabinet retreat. But Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, in whose name a number of those questions stood, insisted that the ministers just did not take Parliament seriously.
an urgent question, it ceases to be urgent any longer. This is the second week. And I've seen that many colleagues of mine also filed urgent questions. And these are the excuses they are given to us. For me, it makes the argument stronger that we need to be working towards insulating the legislative arm from the grip of the executive arm. Because some of the ministers are also members of parliament. So in performing this duality of responsibility, which one do they take important? So, leader, that reason is untenable. And I think that this should be the last time we should experience that, at least in this parliament. It simply doesn't make sense. They have deputies, and I shudder to think that the deputies are not attending the same program. When they are well aware that there are questions they are supposed to answer. Look, since Tuesday, we have these urgent questions on the other paper, since Tuesday, and we've never had the opportunity to ask. So if someone's death was to be prevented as a result of the questions we asked, by now the person would have been buried and the funeral announcement and performance would have been done. I don't think that this is a very tangible excuse to give. They need to take this house serious.
And Information Minister Fatima Abubakar has urged state institutions to persevere for success while adapting to adversity to help the country overcome its economic hardship. Speaking at the commissioning of the Ghana Publishing Company Limited office in Kumasi, the minister emphasized the critical role played by state institutions in navigating the nation through its economic struggles due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, acknowledging progress made by the Ghana Publishing Company, she encouraged other state institutions to strive for success. There's more in this report.
Let's do well to let the ministers respond to Parliament. It's very, very important. And I'm making this appeal to the reps, especially the government reps. It is your duty to make sure any minister who is destined to come and respond to any question come. So before a minister is programmed to come and answer or respond to any member, at least it's incumbent on the reps to make sure the ministers are well informed before we even program them. Because it's not nice that we program a minister to come and answer questions. Meanwhile, the minister may be having something else doing. So it doesn't make sense. We program him, the minister is somewhere doing something else. I'm not saying what he's doing is not important. But once we program the minister, there should be that correlation, that the minister will surely make time to come and respond to members. Other than that, it's a bit problematic.
Apologies for that wrong inset. That was Second Deputy Speaker urging the majority side of the House to ensure that the ministers who are summoned to Parliament appear. Information Minister Fatima Abubakar has urged state institutions to persevere for success. There's more in the following report.
Publishing Company Limited inaugurated its first regional office in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. This event marked a pivotal moment in the company's history, underscoring its commitment to decentralizing its operations and enhancing accessibility to essential publishing services across the nation. Speaking at the event, Minister for Information Fatima Abubakar encouraged state institutions to learn from the progress made by the GPCL.
This remarkable turnaround is a testament to the prudent and efficient management that characterizes His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration. Under his visionary leadership, we have witnessed the transformation of a once struggling institution into a thriving entity, setting a shining example for other state institutions to emulate. This transformation did not happen overnight. It is the result of meticulous planning, effective policy implementation, and the relentless pursuit of excellence.
The minister highlighted GPCL's recent success, noting its consistent profitability over the last 2 years.
Today, as we stand on the threshold of a new era, we witness the revival of this great institution with the inauguration of this office in Kumasi.
Managing Director of the GPCL, David Asante, says the company has made significant progress despite challenges in previous years.
We have additionally contributed significantly to reducing unemployment by creating new departments in the company, which naturally brings to bear the need to employ and to expand our operations. Financially, the Ghana Publishing has demonstrated resilience and success. Apart from the challenging years of COVID-19 in 2021, we have consistently recorded a profit reflecting our robust business strategies and commitment to excellence.
The new office will serve the Ashanti region and adjoining regions, making it easier for individuals and organizations to access a wide array of products and services. For Joy News, Nana Boachidanko Yadom, Kumasi.
And the United Nations is urging the world to reflect on the need for human values and qualities which could help eliminate poverty and discrimination across the world. Celebrating South Africa's anti-apartheid freedom fighter Nelson Mandela today, the UN says the current inequality in the world as a result of the human choices, a situation which could be resolved if the world emulates the legacy of Nelson Mandela. As the world celebrates the African icon this week, Joy News' Blessed Suga went back to the Robben Island prison where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for more than 15 years.
At the United Nations headquarters in New York this year, the legacy of Nelson Mandela is being celebrated once more.
Nelson Mandela showed us the extraordinary difference one person can make in building a better world. And as the theme of this year, Nelson Mandela's International Day reminds us, combating poverty and inequality is in our hands. Our world is unequal and divided. These are not natural facts. These are the result of humanity's choices, man-made choices, and we can decide to do things differently.
Today, as we reflect on Madiba's teachings, we must recognize that true freedom will never be achieved so long as poverty indefinitely lingers.
It was a long walk to freedom for Madiba, a title he earned after spending more than 20 years locked behind bars. Sailing down the coast of Cape Town in South Africa, I'm able to walk down memory lane again with another man who was also kept on the Robben Island, which housed a maximum security facility reserved for criminals, anti-apartheid freedom fighters, and chronically ill persons, including lepers. For Siswana, walking through the corridors of this facility revives his trauma when he was first brought here.
Yes, this is the cell. Yeah, and this is what prisoners slept on before the introduction of bed.
But today he walks a free man, remaining hopeful that the world will learn from the legacy of Nelson Mandela and to make the world a just and equitable space for all.
To be honest with you, I'm quite disappointed because I had hoped that when South Africa gets liberated, we as Africans are going to start on another program, a new program that's going to change, our continent to be what we want it to be. Because I think in the process of us being colonized, we lost our humanity. We've forgotten who we are. And as a result, however we treat one another, however we relate to one another, we relate and treat one another on the terms that were actually introduced by our colonizers. We've forgotten our own value systems. That's my biggest disappointment. And I don't see any program that is begun anywhere in Africa that seeks to actually achieve that.
The Robben Islands was decommissioned in 1996, but the facility remains open to tourists and persons who care about the dark past to learn the lessons in order to create a safer future. Blessed Sugan for Joy News, the Robben Island.
Officers of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, have clashed with the chief of Nahinso over the self-initiative to rehabilitate deplorable roads in the community. Nana Addo Boaman's sun-winning activities to fill flood-prone land has been resisted by the local assembly because he failed to seek authorization. But the chief insists his initiative is to help alleviate the plight of residents. Nana Boachi Yadom has more.
Residents of Nahinso in the Asokwa municipality have had to contend with deplorable roads. Those of us who use smaller cars because of the bad roads,
transportation from here to town,
we are suffering because of the road. Going to the maintenance is equally expensive. Government must help us. The chief of Nahinso, Nana Edubuama, says his decision to independently undertake the road rehabilitation was spurred by the concerns of residents and commuters after failed promises by the government. But this got him arrested.
I've been there no less than 8 times. The last time that I went to the MC, in fact, he didn't even give me attention. All he could told me, I waited for about three hours, and all he could told me was, Nana Chapatan program to me as honorable member, assembly member. And I told him that, look, it's because of you that I've come. And my people have been complaining. And there was even a time that I even called him personally on phone and told him that my people are threatening demonstration against you. And he told me, Nana Tobo, and for how long can I do this?
The local assembly has denied causing his arrest, but accused the chief of winning sand under a high-tension tower and also blocking roads leading to some homes. Asokwa Municipal Chief Executive Akonya Sajima said the road has been awarded on contract.
Let me put it on record that no arrest was made. The chief was not arrested. The chief has not been arrested by the Asokwa Municipal Assembly. The road is under construction by a contractor, just that he's waiting for the bridge that he constructed to dry up or whatever.
Chief clashed with a team of NADMO, EPA and local assembly when they visited the area. Assistant planning manager at EPA, Daniel Lobite, however, said the chief's action will rather cause flooding in the area.
Where lies in the issue of flooding? He's rather causing it. He's not solving any problem. He has encroached the buffer, so we are mounting a signage to ward him off. He's not supposed to come to this side anymore.
Residents are hoping for early intervention to the plight of poor roads. For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwa Yadom, Kumasi.
Well, it's now time for our business updates, and Sweetie Abochi will do us the honors.
Let's do some business stories now. Denicia, thank you for bringing us AM News. Starting with Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, has welcomed new strategies mapped up by the government to help put Cocoa Board on a strong financial footing before the end of this month. Key among the strategies include the freezing of financing of cocoa, roads and fertilizer. Speaking in an interview with Joy Business, Joe Jackson stated that the move will put Cocoa Board back on a sustainable path.
The way it's been described.
Okay.
Cocoa Board was on a path to destruction. Cocoa Board was on a path to hate. There's no doubt about that. Look at the number of employees that were recruited. How productive is that organization? And remember that Cocoa Board, in fact, from time immemorial, Cocoa Board was even under the Ministry of Finance because of its own peculiar role. In the last few years, Cocoa Board has been put under Ministry of Agric. No attention paid to it, mismanaged. No, the people of Ghana deserve better. The people of Ghana need Cocoa Board to work better. Our country was built on cocoa. In fact, even if we had, in the midst of all these ministers, even if I had a minister for cocoa affairs, I would rather deal with it rather than some of the ministries that we have.
The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, that is GPRTU, has clarified that it has not made any decisions regarding a potential increase in transport fares. This announcement is to quell recent rumors and speculations suggesting that the union would be raising transport fares following a decision by Concerned Drivers Association to increase theirs by 15% effective July 22nd. Now, according to the union, despite the recent surge in fuel prices, it has decided to keep transport fares unchanged whilst it continues to engage all relevant stakeholders to determine the appropriate fares that will not be detrimental to the public. Samuel Amwa is a Deputy National PRO of GPRTU.
What is happening is that GPRTU has not come out with any transport fare increment yet. And then the reason being that, you see, before we come out with the price or transport fare increment, we have some certain component that we used to consider before we also think of increasing transport fares. Those components are the spare parts, the lubricant, the taxes, and the petroleum product. Yes, we agreed that petroleum product has gone a bit high. Recently, I think about 3 days ago, fuel price was increased about 4%, of which you all know. Spare parts has gone high a bit. The lubricant, battery, and other, component that we used to run our business, they've gone, a bit high. But it has not gotten to the margin that we'll use before we think of increasing our transport fares.
And now let's go for some updates from the currency market. And that does it for business updates on the AM News. But Denisia will be telling us who's coming for News Review. Denisia.
Well, we have Kofi Akpalu, leader of Liberal Party of Ghana, Nana Sapon, he's political assistant to Alan Tremantin, and Remy Edmondson, he's a national secretary of PPP. Sweetie, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh boy, I'm working, Denisia.
Oh, I feel sorry for you. Well, I'll be sleeping. While you're working, I'll be sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Well, that's it for AM News. My name is Denisia Pomaije from Sweetie, and I have a lovely weekend.